The Premier Plus Quilt Block Wizard comes with Premier Plus Embroidery Extra. It enables you to quickly and simply create quilt blocks of all shapes and sizes on which you can place your embroideries, adding hundreds of different effects. Let's see how it's done. There is a choice of 5 styles. As each style is selected, the image is updated to give a visual indication. But let's first see how the filled quilt block inner embroidery option works. Choose from one of the 9 shapes. All of the 9 shapes will fit together to make your quilt. The size of your quilt block can be entered in a number of different ways, depending on where you take the measurement from. For instance, the default method for this shape is side to side. Or we could measure the length of a side. But for this example, we want a quilt block of 6.5 inches wide, so I set it back to side to side. Now, as you can see, I have set my default measurement to be in metric millimeters. No problem, as in all Premier Plus embroidery system measurement dialogues, I can enter either. So I type 6.5 followed by the quote marks, and the software automatically recalculates the measurement back to metric and displays the equivalent size. Now I have the choice to add an extra line or guide to make it easier to cut out, so I'll leave that selected as well. Now we can add an embroidery to place in the quilt block. We will add the Kingfisher sample from the Inspiration folder. As you no doubt noticed, I selected the cardinal by mistake, but no matter. Just click on the Kingfisher and the cardinal is replaced. I could of course have just used the iris on the clipboard. Anyway, let's carry on. Click Next and the wizard moves on to the next screen. The Kingfisher is placed at the centre of the block. If we want, we can position it using any of these controls, or just by clicking on it and moving it. Around the bird you can see there is an outline. This is showing the margin or gap between the embroidery and the stitching we will place on the quilt block. I'll reduce this to 3 millimeters. Now we can see the Kingfisher surrounded by the default stipple fill. If we change now to a traditional channel quilting pattern, and zoom in a bit by using the zoom slider, you can see the margin between the Kingfisher and the edge of the channel pattern. As you can see, we have many fill patterns to choose from. Crosshatch, curved crosshatch, motif with hundreds of motifs to choose from, the traditional echo effect, plus each effect has its own options. For instance, with the echo there are 3 styles. There are 3 effects to choose from. The default gives a smooth flowing line, but if we want a change, we can choose a more geometric pattern. But for this design, I prefer the smoother effect, so I will just change it back. I leave you to play with the rest of the options. At the bottom of the dialog view, you can see the design information, stitch count and size, which you can use as a quick check. When you are happy with everything, just click Finish and the embroidery is placed into the hoop in Premiere Plus Embroidery Extra. Now you can see the cutting line guide around the block.